first, I was happy it was a video. I was happy it was a video because that was an opportunity to clamp down. That was a golden opportunity to clamp down on someone who had no right working in the school environment. Many of such exist, but always the issue is about where the evidence is. And so I was happy we have an evidence, and based on that, we are able to push for the clamping down of this one that found his way of wrongly into the school environment to make the school environment unsafe for girls. I must admit that it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that in providing transformative education, our education system is gender transformative. Gender transformative means that the laws and the rules and regulations, the environment that both boys and girls learn in has the potential to support them to achieve their fullest potential while empowering them. And so acts including sexual misconduct, sexual relationship between teachers and students, sexual misconduct, etc., threaten the gender transformative ability of our education system, make school environment unsafe for both boys and girls, and for that matter, the Ministry of Education, GES, has a responsibility to ensure that persons who put up such behaviors are prevented from entering the school environment so that our schools remain safer, especially for girls.
I mean, surprisingly, we haven't seen a statement from the heads of senior assisted schools. I'm talking about CHAS, since this matter happened. I mean, is that surprising?
Well, it may. It's not too surprising because this is not the head of a school. He's not a member of CHAS. The headmaster is the CHAS. Is a member of the CHAS. Okay, and so it's not surprisingly. Maybe. I mean, this is the headmaster. This is the assistant academic. So, CHAS comprises heads of schools. Okay. But I am expecting to hear condemnations from the teacher unions. This matter just happened. I actually got wind of this matter when the release was issued yesterday. So it's a fluid situation. But I'm expecting to hear condemnation and from the teacher unions because they've always stood behind people who suffered such violence. I'm talking about students, and always, condemned their members who participated in such activities. And so I'm expecting that. I must say, Moro, that if you are really on the ground, these are just, manifestations of a bigger problem in us, especially in our secondary schools. I mean, I know of a school where allegedly, a teacher is living with a girlfriend, and the girlfriend is a student. We'll get there very soon. You hear of this matter before the end of next week or this week. I know of a school, in fact, in Okuapeman Senior High School, the PE master, as I speak to you, is standing trial for allegedly, sexually misconducting himself, before a young student, who reported the issue to her father, a prominent parent as such. And the parent decided to arrest the teacher. The parent was even having difficulties having the teacher arrested in Okuapeman. So the parent sent policemen from Accra to go and arrest the teacher. And then now he's facing prosecution. Sometimes when these things happen, the immediate system around the school tries to cover up and protect the staff.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a parent who is very strong, who believes in justice, and sometimes they let it slide, especially where it didn't lead to a sexual act. But we'll continue to encourage parents or students who fall prey to teachers' advances, to report them. It shouldn't get to the point of sexual contact or actual sexual act before it amounts to sexual misconduct. The laws of the Ghana Education Service, the Code of Conduct for Teachers, frowns on sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct or sexual relationship between a teacher or a staff of a school and a student is a major misconduct in the GNS Code of Conduct. And by major misconduct, it means that you can be dismissed from the service. So we encourage that when these things happen, students should not wait, for them to get to the point where there's a sexual act. But when there is evidence that there are incursions being made by some teachers or staff, they should report the case. If not to the senior most female teacher on campus, they can report it to the guidance staff or the head teacher.
When you watch the video, sorry to disappoint you, Kofi, it didn't look like the lady was being harassed. It looks like she was enjoying it.
Yes. So it didn't also look like, I thought you were going to say, it didn't look like a teacher and a student. It looked like a boyfriend and a girlfriend,
yes.
right?
Something like that. In fact, she gave him a kiss. She kissed him.
Okay. So it tells you the undercurrents. Yes. As I said, these tendencies are there. And the onus lies on the duty bearer, the Ghana Education Service, to ensure that, first of all, they do not even occur by having very clear and productive reporting channels between school learners and then the authorities, And then second, when in the unfortunate event of they occurring, immediately you take decisive action to send a strong signal that the service will not countenance, such behaviors. And I'm happy at the swift response that the GES have taken yesterday. Teachers have been removed, set step aside for investigations to continue, and then further, consequently, possibly punitive action taken. I'll be surprised if the teacher finds his way back to school to teach, because no parent can sleep, with the thought of having such a character, man in the classroom or a school where their children, or where their wards attend school.
But Makovi, I can safely assume, because she's in senior high, that she's below 18. And I think the laws are clear when it comes to minors and data protection. I'm wondering whether there's a conversation to be had on the fact that this thing is out there and everybody's seeing this young lady who presumably is below 18. Whose doorstep must we lay the blame? The fact that this video is out there, her face, we've seen her face, and how our society operates, the stigma, the issues of stigma and so on. Is there conversation to be had around that?
Yes, I normally don't do blames when issues like this, especially concerning children, okay? But there are challenges with the system. We normally want to do the systemic issues. The first systemic challenge is that it's a challenge, but also it actually was a driver or facilitator of justice in this case, which is the phone. If the phone wasn't there, we wouldn't know what was happening. Okay. Again, but it is the same phone that the teachers who happen to be in amorous relationship with students used to communicate. This same phone has been banned by the government close to 20 years ago in senior high schools. But as we keep saying, if you go to senior high schools, having a mobile phone is actually a norm and not an exception, even though it has been banned. So the instrument that facilitates such amorous communication is the mobile phone. If it wasn't there, it wouldn't be too difficult for conversations to take place, leading to the congregation of the two we saw in the video. And so I think that the GES must reinforce. I don't think that it is important actually for the GES to reinforce the ban on mobile phones and ensure that mobile phones are not in use, in their schools. Second thing, which is a systemic deficit, is that you see, many a times when this issue happens, if you dig down, dig, and go bottom down, you realize that there's a history. In the case of the Okuapeman case, which is currently before the courts, my conversation with the parents of the girl indicates that when the parent went to the school, they picked information that the case of their daughter was, I think, the fourth case involving the same PE teacher. Fourth case. But then many of them are not able to report. You understand? And so the point I want to make is that if you profile, these actors, you realize that there's a history. So why is the system accommodating them until evidence either mistakenly or intentionally gets out? That for me is a bigger issue, because the system should be able to identify and deal with them. Unfortunately, in many schools, when the system identifies them, the system rather protects them.
Yeah.
Because they are part of a school community. The system is more inclined to shield them than to expose them. We must encourage whistleblowing in the Ghana Education Service. Teachers, there are many good teachers in our schools who have the edge and are always ready to blow whistles on bad things, amorous relationship between staff and students, examination malpractices, etc. We engage them every day on our social media platform, talking about Africa Education Watch. But the hot I see is that they are unable to speak out because there is no assurance of confidentiality and anonymity after they have, and also not just confidentiality and anonymity, but also the assurance of some immunity after they volunteered information. So whistleblowing in the service is very, very difficult. Some will say that's what teachers, yeah, they are afraid to. Yes, they are afraid because they know that when they divulge such information, they might end up becoming, as we will say in Ghana, the third person. So the system must be built such that it is possible for teachers and students in not just senior high school, but also basic schools, to report such incidents, bad things going on in the school, while maintaining or protecting their identity. So the Whistleblowers Act, must work in our schools in a manner that empowers learners and staff who want to report bad characters to do so without any fear of being exposed or any fear of any reprisal or retribution. For me, that system is very, very important and must be reinforced, must be developed. So that as we build the confidence of learners to speak out, as we build the confidence of teachers to speak out when they see anything bad going on, in the same way, we will build systems to guarantee them the protection they need should they have to speak out. That for me is very, very important.